How's it going, guys? Welcome to my Blu-ray pickups haul. Got another nice stack of movies going for this week, including two brand new releases from Olive Films. One of which is this one right here called The Madness of King George, which is based on a true story about Britain's King George III, who was dealing with a deteriorating mental health issue, which at first they didn't pay much attention to it because they simply thought he was going through a nervous breakdown. But then he became more and more odd and did a lot of wacky stuff, and that's when they realized that something definitely isn't right here. And so many years later, that's when they did a more in-depth research in which they came to the conclusion that King George III did actually suffer from mental health issues. So obviously mental health is no laughing matter in real life, but in this film it makes light of those issues, and it's a pretty funny drama. It's one of those forgotten films from the 90s that, it's worth a watch. I remember actually seeing movie posters of this when I was a kid back in 1994. But yeah, it's a really nice period piece. And what's also interesting, this film was selected in 1999 as one of the greatest British films ever made as part of their top 50 list. And this film has a pretty strong cast with Nigel Hawthorne, who plays King George III, Helen Mirren's in the film, Holm, Rupert Everett. And it was quite interesting. I was actually doing a double take because Nigel reminded me so much of Prince von Anhalt. And if you don't know who he is, he's the guy who married Zsa Zsa Gabor. They're literally like a spitting image of each other. It's quite interesting. But yeah, just a wonderful period piece drama, and like I said, it's just one of those forgotten gems from the 90s. And a pretty solid release to pick up on Blu-ray. And in case you're wondering, you don't get any special features. However, English subtitles are included, and the aspect ratio for this film is in the 1.85 format. And as far as my thoughts for the picture and audio quality, I'm going to rate this one a 4 out of a 5 for both. So you get decent looking black levels, not great but not bad. It's a bit of a flat image with the slightest hint of pop here and there. But yeah, pretty nice looking presentation overall. So that is The Madness of King George, released by Olive Films. Next up, I got The Vampire's Ghost, also released by Olive Films, and this is a fun horror film from 1945, which is based on John William Polidori's short story titled The Vampire. So this film takes place at this African port town in which a bar is run by this mysterious man who happens to be a vampire that's been around for hundreds of years, and he has a few associates that works with him and whatnot, and they slowly become suspicious of him because of his actions, and he has these sinister plans in mind, and he tries to put people under his spell and tries to take over their minds. So, like the first film, it's just one of those forgotten gems, and as funny as this may sound, certain aspects of this film reminded me a lot of Casablanca. Without Humphrey Bogart, of course, as the main lead in this film is played by John Abbott. But just imagine, a bar owner who has his heart set out for a woman, but the only difference is this bar owner happens to be a vampire. So yeah, you'll see some similarities to Casablanca as I did, but I have to tell you, the picture and sound quality looked absolutely beautiful for this movie. Considering this came out in 1945, that's 72 years ago. Has excellent looking black levels considering it is a black and white film. I didn't see any print damage at all. I mean, that is remarkable how great they kept this print in the archives. So I'm going to rate the picture quality overall a 4.5 out of a 5, and I'm going to give the audio mix a 4 out of a 5. So with this Blu-ray release, you don't get any special features. However, you do get English subtitles. And the aspect ratio for this film is in the 1.33 format, and that is The Vampire's Ghost, released by Olive Films. Alright, so here are the rest of my pickups for this week. Got Planet of the Apes Trilogy on 4K, so I get all 3 films of the reboot edition. So yeah, unfortunately no slipcover since it is in this box set, but I didn't have any of the films, so I figured, what the hell, let me just buy it all at once. An incredible franchise, and the presentation just looks absolutely beautiful on 4K. Easy purchase, man. So if you're considering this one, it's a no-brainer. Just go get it. The next film I got is the newly released Criterion edition of Barry Lyndon, directed by Stanley Kubrick, one of my favorite films of all time, released in 1975. And if you've never seen this film, this is a slow burn period piece drama, but I tell you what, give it a try and you will be greatly rewarded in the end. And Criterion really brought this film to life in a stunningly beautiful presentation, just jaw-dropping how great this looks. And, demo material, that is for sure. So it's a 2-disc set, so it's a rather long film, so you get all the supplements on disc 2. And of course, you get the booklet as well. My next pickup is Titanic. That's right, the German version from 1943. And I consider this one to be the first Titanic film, although it is a propaganda film and it was actually banned for many years. And it's quite interesting that they actually made this film. They filmed it around 1942 in the midst of World War II, and it was actually shot entirely in Poland. But the set design wasn't that bad, but it didn't really look like the Titanic. They kind of did their own thing, and all the the captain and whatnot and the crew, it was kind of funny how they were all dressed up. They literally looked like Nazis, in the Nazi outfits. But do give this one a try. It's released by Kino Lorber. And of course, there's other great Titanic films. The one with Barbara Stanwyck from the 50s, A Night to Remember, which I consider is the go-to film for Titanic. So if you want to learn about Titanic without all the lovey-dovey story with Leo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, do check out the Criterion edition of A Night to Remember. Stunningly beautiful film. So yeah, you do get a commentary track with this release. You get the original 1912 newsreel with the original footages from, the Titanic. So that's quite interesting. The next movie I picked up is a film noir from 1953, and that is Ida Lupino's The Hitchhiker, also released by Kino. They actually used the Library of Congress print to get this on blue, the 35mm print. So, you're going to get print damage, audio damage, but for the most part, it looks pretty decent. And I believe at the time of release, this was actually the first film noir movie directed by a woman, by actress and director Ida Lupino. Really great thriller. Do give this one a try if you like, interesting stories about this hitchhiker, which they pick up and he plans to murder these two. But yeah, there's a nice twist at the end. The next film I got is Sabrina, starring the great Humphrey Bogart, Audrey Hepburn, and William Holden. And yeah, I actually own this as part of the 3-disc Audrey Hepburn collection on Blu-ray, but I wanted to get this one separate as a standalone case so I can add it to my Bogart stuff. They actually made a remake of this film in 1995 with Harrison Ford and Julia Ormond under the same title, Sabrina. So yeah, you get quite a few special features with this release too. So yeah, that is Sabrina. And last but not least, I picked up The Endless Summer 2 on DVD, which is a follow-up film to the 1960s film, The Endless Summer, one of my favorite surfer films of all time. And yeah, hopefully at some point we'll get this on Blu-ray as well. And unfortunately, this release on DVD is in full screen. Yeah, so I don't know why they didn't release it in widescreen. So there you go. That's a disc right there. But yeah, I really love the music, and even just the cinematography is just better shot. Although the first film, in my opinion, is better overall. But I really like the cinematography because, a lot of advanced technology since the 60s. This was made in 1994. And I used to watch this all the time in the 90s, on the Stars channel. So that is The Endless Summer 2. So anyway, thanks again once again for taking a look at my latest pickups for this week. And as usual, I'll see you guys soon in the next update. Take care.